I'm Courtney Kibitzo with Stahls TV, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about what Any Word Anyway is, which is basically a custom text generator, different options that are available, and then how you can use it into your business to not only do applique to expand your embroidery capabilities, but also different finishes that you can use with this product line and this different offering from Stahls. So we're going to dive in a little bit today, and we're going to show a lot of different finishes live on screen here that you guys can make, and then we'll also dive in and see how can I order them online so you understand how you can replicate these exact designs for your customers and understand the processes there. So before we get started, we actually asked a lot of you guys how many of you already do applique, and surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, a lot of you aren't doing applique to date. And it's probably because applique traditionally is a little bit more difficult to do. Maybe you don't have the capabilities to cut applique, or you don't know how to create a sew file. All of those challenges, or maybe you just think it's more time consuming for you to actually take the time to cut the applique and create the sew file if you're a one-man shop. So we're going to look today at how Any Word Anyway in this software can create a lot of that for you. So all you need to do is worry about the embroidery part of it on your side and help speed up your productivity and increase your profits as well. So let's talk a little bit about what Any Word Anyway is. So Any Word Anyway, like I had mentioned, is just a custom text generator. So it basically is going to allow you to take any word, any text name, and create it anyway. So you can do a variety of different fonts, whether you want block fonts, script fonts, or any style depending on the market you're selling to. And then you can also choose your finishes. So traditionally with applique, you're probably thinking about a regular poly twill, or maybe even a chino twill or felt. And those are kind of the traditional appliques, but we'll also look at how Any Word Anyway can allow you to create different patterned effects with sublimated twill, different effects with glitter, and then also being able to use it to create applique that doesn't need your embroidery machine. So when we talk about productivity and how you can get more done without tying up your embroidery machine and just leveraging your heat press, that's going to help you to do that as well. So we've got an action-packed morning for you. I'm excited to get started. So with Any Word Anyway, there's a few benefits that we just recently went over. The first style with Any Word Anyway that you're going to be able to offer is your standard. So this is where you're thinking, again, that poly twill, that wool felt, that standard basic finish, one color, two color. This is kind of what you're thinking with applique. And I'll zoom in here on my first two examples for this so you guys can kind of see it on the table. But this is actually just a one color applique and a wool felt. Something like this is very easy to create using Any Word Anyway. What's going to happen is I'm going to show you the online generator on my computer, how to get this piece of felt sent to you, and then also how to get the sew file so you can embroider it on. So let's head over to my computer screen so we can do that. So on my computer screen, you're seeing the Any Word Anyway section of the Stahls.com website. If you go to Stahls.com, up to letters and numbers, and then drop down to where you see Any Word Anyway, you can already see all of the options that are available in this process. So I click Any Word Anyway, and it generates what I'm looking for here. So like I said, we're going to go through a lot of the options. The standard option is what I'm looking at here to be able to create. So it allows me to go in at this section and create a standard twill applique for my embroidery machine. Now when I create the text for this, it's going to be created in either a poly twill, or a wool felt material for me to be able to embroider down on my machine. So as you can see, there are two different views when you're ordering this. There's a list view and there's also a design view here at the top of your screen. You can switch back between the two. If you do that and you have it already started, you will lose some of your selections, but I want to show both screens just so you can see the differences. The design view kind of walks you through the process a little bit differently, where you're selecting your text, your font style, and then you can go through to also choose your material and color, your layout, tails, split front, sew disc, and all of that stuff as well. If you know what you want, or you just want a quick, easy way to see it, I prefer the list view, and I think it's a little bit easier to be able to quickly select everything you want. So I'm going to show you this tool for the one I'm creating first. Also, as we're going through this, I want to keep in mind on the Stahls TV live classes, we now have a handout. So on that go-to panel on the side of your screen on the right-hand side, where you can chat in questions and all of that, you'll notice that there's a handout option and you can download. That might be nice to take some notes as to so you know which product we were looking at and how you were able to decide which one was right for what you want to do in your business. So you can download that there. But to get started, it's going to ask you if you want to select a proof option. The generator is going to generate a small proof over here on the right hand side of the screen. If you absolutely want to see a black and white proof, you can choose to have that sent to you as well. I'm going to do no proof. I'm placing an order. Keep in mind, if you are going to ask for a proof, when you get down to the quantity section at the bottom, you're going to have to put 1 and then update it later once they send you the proof. The customer service reps will do that. Okay, so I'm going to do no proof. I'm placing an order so I can go through the process fast and easy without having to get an email proof. Then I'm going to have to select my size and my font style. So my size for this design is a standard. A standard is traditionally your large 11-inch design for a sweatshirt or an adult crew shirt. For children's, you may go smaller to a small or medium, but I'm going to choose the standard size here since it was what was chosen for the Columbia. For the text, I'm just going to quickly write Columbia. If I wanted to add a second line, which we'll look at here later with some of the other designs, I can do that here. The font style. So the font style on that Columbia is a script font. And now keep in mind, with that design view, you can see all of these fonts out wide as well. So if you want to be able to see them quickly, you can do that. So I'm going to do a standard size. It is in the Stadium font. And then once I select my font style, it's going to open up more selections for me to choose. And this is where you'll choose your material and your color. I can choose poly twill. I can also choose wool felt, applique fabrics. This one was a wool felt, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. And in the color Columbia, very fitting. You can also make different changes to your layout. So do I want it to be connected if it's a script font? Do I want it to be straight? Do I want it to have a rotation on it for maybe a little bit of an angle? I'm going to add the rotation because if you remember, that Columbia design I just showed you had a tail. So I'm going to add a little bit of rotation so I can add that tail to the design. Once I add those to the design, I can choose to, again, add that tail, yes or no. If you don't want a tail, just click no and it'll automatically populate you to the next section. And then there's a variety of tails that are available. Again, you can see this in the design view. One other thing I really recommend if you're looking to see what you can create, obviously the tail names are ST1, ST2, so it's hard for you to know which one you want. I recommend getting a Stahls price guide that has all of these items in here, so you can get that either by calling customer service, or if you just go to stahls.com, there is a catalog option. If you click View Catalog, it'll allow you to download a PDF, make it accessible on your computer and easy to access, so I love that as well. Okay, so for the tail for this Columbia design, I actually believe it was the, let's add one here, I believe it's the ST2, so we'll add that. Do I want it to be a split front? So for this design, no, it's not a split front, but the good thing about this, and we'll show you an example later, is it allows you to create split fronts, perfect for zip-up hoodies or for baseball jerseys that have kind of that overlap. You can easily do that and create applique as well with any word anyway. So no on my split front. So far what we've done is we've created our entire applique design that you saw here, just the Columbia wool felt with a tail piece. What I need to do next is I need to choose my sew file so I'm able to embroider it on if I'm choosing one like the poly twill or the wool felt that's going to need to be embroidered. This is going to allow me to pick the stitch type that I want, and now remember, Stahls is going to be creating the sew disc for you, so all you'll need to do is load it into your machine and begin sewing with these applique pieces. So I can choose, I like a bean stitch for this kind of distressed wool felt look, but there's a variety of stitch types that are available. I can choose the disc format that I want it to come in for my machine. I can also choose the applique stop, so where I want it to start and stop on my machine. And I can add name drop. So I don't have one here, but let's say within that tail or within that design, I wanted to add a name drop. So now it says Columbia Football. I can add that text name drop and have a direct embroidery added in into the tail, and I can choose the font as well. So all of that's going to, again, allow me to create this full thing ready to go. The last thing we're going to do is select our quantity. Remember, this is the option where if you ask for a proof, you're going to have to put 1 in your quantity box because that's going to allow you to move through to the next stage. One thing to keep in mind for any word anyway is that you do need to order quantities of 6. So I recommend always trying to sell within that avenue, or ordering extra. If you're at 10 pieces, no, you'll have to order 12, so work that into your cost as you're creating your applique. So let's say I need 12 pieces. The price per piece you're noticing is changing as I'm increasing my quantity and changing my quantity. So if I need 24 pieces, I'm looking at $5.72 versus if I needed 6 pieces where I was upwards of $10. So over here is going to calculate my total price as well as my price per piece, so I can understand what my cost is going to be and get some options together for that. So ordering this is pretty fast and pretty easy. Let's look at some of the other options of what we can create with Anyword Anyway. So I'll switch back to the main screen here where you guys can see what I've created. First, again, that Columbia design. So this was that, there it is, wool felt, one color. So kind of basically as simple and standard as you get, fast, easy to order. If you want to add multiple colors, you can do that as well. So this would be an example of a standard 2-color design. This is just another tail option font. So with Anyword Anyway, you can choose different tails, different fonts, different color styles, and it doesn't limit you. All you need to do is select the type that you want. We'll create the sew file, and then you can send it to your embroidery machine to embroider it out. One thing I do want to show you, I'm sorry, but I'll switch back to my computer real quick one more time, is what you get in the sew file. So that's probably a good thing you guys are wondering if you haven't ordered sew files from Stahls or seen this before. So this is an example of what you would get with your sew machine. So it's basically showing you the sewing order as well as the center point for your file, and then it comes included in, let me see if I know the right direction, there it goes. It comes included in a CD disc, which actually has some really important information on it. So not only does it allow you to file that CD for later, because when you order a sew file, as long as the design doesn't change, so let's say I do 12 sweatshirts for Columbia football this year, and next year I do 24. Well, next year when I do those 24 designs, all I need to do is reorder 24 pieces, and I have the sew file ready to go. That's mine. I never need to reorder that as long as the design stays the same. So here you can see the design name. You can see the stitch count, so that helps you also when you're trying to decide your cost for your design and for your images. So what is it going to cost me to sew this out? Obviously the stitch count for applique is going to be significantly less than a direct embroidery, and that's one of the huge benefits of using this process in the applique. Not only is it for a different finish and a different look, but it's much more lightweight, and it's much more cost effective than doing a large direct embroidered design. So that information's all on there, as well as reorder code. So if you need to reorder a specific job number, it's much easier for you to quickly do that by ordering and calling customer service with that reorder code. Before I move on from this, I do want to show one other example of a sublimated twill, because I think this is a huge opportunity and seller. See where I put this? Here it is. So this is actually a sublimated twill, and we'll look through more examples as we get into later, but as you start to look at unique sales opportunities, being able to create twill that's not just a standard red and orange like we saw with that Columbia design, but also being able to take it and add different pattern fills. This is just a sublimated twill that, again, you can order in Anyword Anyway, create your sew file with a name drop here, then you have a completed design. So the zebra print is one that's really great. There's also a lot of great options as we look into different styles that are available, including other animal prints. Here we have a, let's see if I can hold it up here a little bit better, where we have kind of a snake skin, some different styles for maybe if you're selling to a unique market like a business or a mechanic or something like that, where you're looking for more like the tire finish. Some camo, so there's a whole lot of opportunities. So the camo is in a couple of different colors. There's some polka dots, some different plaid prints. All of that's available, again, in sublimated twill, so you can create either a sew or no sew option with that also. So it really starts to expand you on what you can offer. Now as we start to look at the 2-color designs and moving into different, flip my flip book over here so I can get everybody back to where they should be. When we start to look at multicolor designs and laying out applique, obviously one concern with 2- and 3-color designs, not only is it that the cost is going to increase, but when it comes to layout, if you have individual letters, do I need to lay them out individually, or is there a way to speed up that process? So in addition to the standard twill, you can order what's called cad-cut applique. And so the cad-cut applique, which is also going to need sewing, but it allows you to get this space ready to go so the background and the foreground are already stuck together. All you need to do is lay it down once over your placement stitch and run your complete stitch. So you don't need to do one placement stitch, your background layer, one placement stitch, your foreground layer, and do all of the individual placement because it's already set up. You only need to do it once and you're ready to go. So that's super easy to create as well. So that's kind of the kiss-cut option. I'll just show you what it would be like to create a two-color real quick over at the computer screen in the kiss-cut area. So I'm going to go back up to my letters and numbers, any word, any way, and the kiss-cut applique. And anytime I do 2 or 3 colors, I always recommend using the kiss-cut because it's pre-positioned, it's easy for you to quickly line it up and embroider it out. Okay, so I'm going to go down again, going through the same steps and the same process that we just saw. This design says Riverside. It's just the one line since the second line on the landscaping was just a name drop. So I'm going to do Riverside in a script font style. Select my size first. That's why it wasn't giving me an option. The cool thing about this generator is it makes you, it requires you to select your size and put your text in before it allows you to move on. So you don't miss anything that's important in the ordering. Script. This one looks like it's a brush font. So I'm going to select that out there. Poly twill, I have a 2-color design, so my foreground. And both of these are going to be poly twill, but you can see how I can do different options. So I'm going to do my poly twill as my background, or as my foreground, my pressure sensitive poly twill. And that's going to be the dark green color. My background is just going to be a standard poly twill. You could choose a pressure sensitive poly twill which has a sticky backing so you could tack it in place. The cost will change a little bit for that, so I'm just going to do this traditional poly twill for my background since I'm going to embroider it out that way. My background color, I believe, is just a gray. Scroll this down here. So I've got my dark green, my gray. I don't need a third color, but you can see there's an option here for you to do 3 colors, so it really starts to expand what you're offering to your customers and the options for applique. And being kiss cut, again, is just one quick placement. We have a straight layout, not connected, and background style, we'll leave it as regular. Do I want a tail? This time I'm going to say no, since I don't have one. No on my split front. And we'll give that just a second. There we go. And then again, it's going to ask me if I would like the sew disc. So yes, I want my sew disc, and I can start to create, again, choose my stitch type. Now keep in mind that the sew disc is an additional cost. I think that's something that I may have missed the first time around. So with Any Word Anyway, it's only $24, which is a little bit less expensive. For the standard twill, Any Word Anyway, or kiss cut, it's $24. So for the stitch type, for this one is actually a zigzag stitch for both of them. So I can choose a zigzag for the background if I wanted, or I can choose a satin stitch. If you choose a satin stitch for either your background, if it's a 1-color or a foreground, later in this session I'm going to show you a way that you can use your sew files that you're creating for maybe this Riverside in a different way using Stahls Rip-Away Applique. So more ways that you can use that sew file to offer different designs and really maximize your cost to become a little bit more profitable and offer different finishes. So I'm going to do zigzag stitch as my zigzag stitch as my background, and a satin stitch is my foreground there. I'll select my disc format, my applique stop, and then I can add a name drop if I prefer. So this one actually has landscaping as a name drop, and the name drop will add an additional cost on there just for the digitizing of that name. Looks like it's bottom center, and I'll go ahead and just choose a quick font for that as well. Quantity, again, the quantity is going to change depending on my piece. So here I have a 2-color design, and if I have 6 pieces, I'm looking at $11.72. So it is a little bit more costly than the 1 color where it was somewhere around $10, but not much. 12 pieces, I'm looking at $6.87 for this per piece. So that creates my entire cost for that design. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of the applique as far as kiss cut goes. Now with kiss cut, we'll look at another option and how we can create even more unique options with this process, and that is, so what we saw was just a basic kiss cut applique. Now as you start to expand amongst to different maybe schools or different markets and you want to just offer something different, I really like the distressed applique look, and this again is just another option available in Any Word Anyway. I can order this kiss cut, so this is actually a 2-color kiss cut ready to apply, and I can choose how ready to sew, and I can choose how distressed I want it to be. So for this, I can actually choose if I want it to be a little bit more distressed. I think this one's the extreme distressed, and then I can also choose if I want it to be a little bit less. So here are some options of that kiss cut distressed applique that's available. This one's a little bit less, so it almost doesn't look too distressed. And now with the kiss cut distressed applique, this is actually a chino twill, so it has that really soft cotton feel that you're getting in more high-end retail stores like Abercrombie, Hollister, American Eagle. So kind of what you're seeing, and it allows you to create their school designs in that. So that's one of the main reasons I really love this for the school market or for fan wear and spirit wear. And again, here's our last option as well. And at the very back here, I have one that's actually a 2-color. So the yellow here is a chino twill, and the background is actually a felt. So I really like kind of the mixing of the different medias to create this distressed look. And this is just another option you can create with Any Word Anyway. It's very easy just to select your materials and then choose your colors and create the words as well. So all of this is open for you to decorate, maybe for the same school. So all of these said Highland, so you can easily see how you could take one design for one school and really change it to show a different finish and different look for the customer. So I really like that option as well. So that kind of covers a lot of the sewing options. So as we're showing different things we can do with applique, one other thing again I want to show you is how you can take those sew files that we just created. So let's say that sew file that I had created for my Riverside, so this 2-color design. If you remember, what I did when I created this sew file is I chose to create a zigzag stitch as my background and a foreground stitch of a satin stitch. So with that satin stitch, what you can do is you can take this exact same sew file. You don't need any more of these twill pieces, but you can order blank sheets of material or rolls of cad-cut materials from Stahls. So the process is called Rip Away Applique, and it's been out for a few years, but I think it's really important to see how you can use your exact same sew file to create a variety of different looks and finishes. So with this one, what I've done, let's say I take that satin stitch. So the process basically works here where you lay your placement stitch out on your item. This is going to be, again, set up in your sew file as your placement stitch, and when you would normally lay out your applique, Any Word Anyway twill pieces. Instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sheet of my cad-cut material. So compatible cad-cut materials include thermofilm, cad-cut glitter flake, cad-cut flock, as well as 3M reflective. So if you're looking for some different markets, the glitter and the reflective are two of my real favorites for just kind of different finishes. But I can lay that sheet of material completely over top of my design, and then what it's going to do is it's actually going to run a satin stitch over that entire design. So that's why the satin stitch is very important. The zigzag stitch isn't going to be dense enough and thick enough to do the next process, is where you would actually take it, tear it, and rip the entire thing off. Once you've ripped away all of the pieces, you're going to get something that looks like this Columbia design here. And I can actually take this over to my heat press, because just like I had torn away this part from the outside, I could tear away it from the inside just as easily. So I need to be careful not to do that. And I want to take it over to the heat press, press it down. All of these materials have a permanent heat seal adhesive on the back, so it allowed me to stick that permanently. The first one here, again, is that thermofilm, so it creates that faux leather look. That same sew file can now create a glitter finish and a flock for kind of a soft suede finish. 3M reflective, so if you're selling to schools, I think this is a really cool look to mix maybe the glitter for females, but the reflectives for males for kind of a metallic look, especially for Friday night games. And then also, if you have a solvent printer, you could even print full color on CAD Color Express Print. So different options, but the important thing is I could actually take that Any Word Anyway twill design, sell it as a traditional twill to a school. Let's say that's my standard option, is a poly twill. My second option might be a glitter option, which allows you to get kind of a glitter finish, and this is available in 40 different colors, so it's super easy to do and create. So So I can create a glitter option for kind of my second tier pricing. And then I can also offer maybe a metallic option and a reflective option in the silver. And reflective's growing in popularity just in retail designs and corporate designs, and so it allows you to create that different finish for that as well. But I've always been a big fan, and I talk about this a lot in my Stahls TV classes about offering different price points. And so if you have that sew file, look at the different ways you can use that $24 sew disc to create all of these looks, not only the poly twill, but all of this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and set this off to the side. And we'll talk a little bit about expanding beyond embroidery with any word, anyway, with some no-sew options. So one that's an absolute favorite of mine, see if I can find some of the designs here, is actually a sim stitch. So if you haven't seen sim stitch, no, this is actually not an embroidered design. You can see when I flip it to the back, it's not actually sewn. You don't see the threading or the backing. But this is a permanent twill material that's been cut in a way that has a laser etched look, and it's got a stitch that's simulated into the design, and it allows you to look like you've created applique, but all you've needed to do is heat press it on. So if you're worried about tying up your machine time maybe with applique, or you want to be able to do two things at once, maybe you have someone operating the embroidery machine, you're operating the heat press, but you want to be able to offer more premium applique looks, this is a way to get that without having to embroider all of it down. Obviously, if there's anyone here that doesn't have an embroidery machine, you can now offer twill with any word, anyway, and you don't need to worry about going through and getting the embroidery machine and sewing it out. And with this, of course, you don't need a sew disc either. So cuts the cost a little bit. I really like this just for being able to add it in. In addition to, just like we saw with that standard poly twill, we're able to get a sublimated sim stitch. So this is, again, another pattern option. If you're selling to any lakes in your area, this is kind of a watermark look. We even could work for maybe a swim school or something like that if you're making sweatshirts for them. But this is another pattern print. All those same prints we saw are available in this. So leopard prints, animal prints, polka dots, all of that's an option as well with sublimated sim stitch. Now, expanding from twill and applique, we can get really creative with what we can offer. We already saw that with rip away, but by just being able to get text in different fonts and availability. So I'm going to move my twill swatch book over to the side here and just look at some really unique and fun and creative finishes that we can get with any word, anyway, in cad-cut materials. So cad-cut materials are different from the twill materials in that they are just a heat transfer material, or traditionally in the past they were called a heat transfer vinyl. But they allow you to start offering even more effects, so metallics and raised flock effects. A lot of that stuff that we just saw in Rip Away Applique you can get without embroidering just by ordering the cut pieces and heat applying them. So it helps to expand your embroidery machine a little bit well into that as well. So this one is actually a fashion film electric. So the background is a metallic gold electric color, and the foreground is actually a raised flock effect. And so we're starting to see a lot of the metallic gold and metallic silver really trending this year in retail designs, in school, and in spirit wear, and being able to add it as an outline to team uniforms and to spirit wear. And this is a great way to do that by choosing these two materials. Next, what I really like is the hologram. So it has a really unique iridescent look to it, so that allows you to take a text design. So just like we saw that finish earlier today that had the Columbia in a variety of different ways, you can show your customers, here's my basic design, here's my twill design, an applique, and then I can also create your logo and maybe a special effect like a hologram. And somewhere on here I have a glitter, which I'm sure if you've been in the industry for a little while, you've probably seen some really popular glitter materials. So there's one there on my screen. So again, just being able to take a logo, expand what you can offer to your customers, the different fonts and effects that are available. So I'm going to head back to my main screen and take any additional questions that we have as we start to kind of condense the Any Word Anyway Applique Made Easy. One really important thing to note is that it allows you to, if you're just doing applique or you're looking for a way to easily do applique, it allows you to easily order your pieces, get a sew disc, and embroider it out. So it takes away all of those headaches of I have to cut my own twill, or do I have to create my own sew files, and all of that that are concerns and keep people from creating applique. But applique, in addition to that, is a really huge benefit because it allows you to not have all of that direct embroidery time and being able to offer larger fill designs at a much lower cost and a much faster productivity. Karen, do I have any other questions that have came in? Okay, great. So before I head out, I do want to thank you guys all for watching this Stahls TV live class. I encourage you to head over to stahlstv.com for two things. One, the classes for January, February, and March next year are already up, so if you're looking for some new topics for the new year after you get through your holidays, go ahead and sign up for those there at stahlstv.com under live events. In addition to that, I want to note that we're having if you haven't registered for stahlstv.com and headed over to the Stahls TV forums, we're actually running a heat press giveaway contest. So that'll allow you to go there and to do that all the way through December 20th. So you can dive into that there, head over to stahlstv.com. Thanks for watching.